Am I live? I don't know if I'm live or not. My camera wasn't even supposed to be on, but welcome to the trailer park. If you can see me, holla. Can you see me? Can you see me? I know I'm running a little late, but I lost my mics this morning. So, like, I'm sitting here 2 seconds ago trying to get my mics working again. Can you hear me? Farron. Hey, Farron's hanging out. Great show with Kit yesterday. Yes, you are. And can you hear me? You can hear me? You can hear me? I see you. I see you. Hey, good morning. It's a Tuesday morning in the trailer park. How's everybody doing? Okay, sounds good. I got good sound. I lost all of my noise gates and all of my compressors, everything, like right as I went live. I can hear you and see you. Thanks, Kate. Kate, Vancouver. I love Vancouver. It's beautiful there. Let me shout you guys out. Let's see. Jilly, I got some stuff from Jilly I'm bringing today. DC, of course, Farron, It's Cold Fusion Gaming. You should check out It's Cold Fusion Gaming, and you should check out my son's channel too, but I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to figure that out. Who else is hanging out in here? President Jesus. I'm like Mariana with Nina Turner for Shanda. Where she goes, I go. Aw, you guys are so awesome. That's sweet. DC. Richard Moore. Welcome. Thank you guys. Everybody's filing in. I'll kind of give everybody a second to get in here. Hey, Melinda. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, you guys like my new little paneling? That's what I've like looked at my whole entire life. I hate paneling with a fucking passion, and it's just hilarious that it would end up as one of my, themes on my stream. Let's see here. Let's see if I can bring up my new stuff. I'm going to try something new, so bear with me today because I want to start doing like some on the fly investigating where I can just go and start digging and going down rabbit holes with you guys on board. So I've got a couple of new decks embedded, and we'll see how well I navigate the internet. As you guys know, this last week I tore down my studio because it came with Windows 11, and Windows 11 does not work very well with our studios, especially with Livestream Studio. It seems to be okay with Streamlabs, but so we completely upgraded from Windows 11 to Windows 10 last Wednesday, and it wiped everything on my computer out. So everything that I installed over the last month was gone. All of my settings and every program, we had to reinstall all of the programs. So here I am catching up again, but Oz did an amazing job of walking me through it with the most patience of any man I've ever seen, and it literally only took us a day. So shout out to Oz for all of his patience and hard work and helping me out. You guys watch AM Wake Up this morning? They had the Ryans on this morning. That was cool. That was good. That one Ryan Long is hilarious. I've been bringing his videos for a while now. So let's see. What do we got here? I want to bring up the slide deck so I can show you guys what's going on. Slideshow. There we go. See if I can get to my new. This is my new. I figure it's not as busy as the last one. The last one with the trailers was kind of busy. I think this one looks a little better. I don't know. You guys tell me, what do you think? Windows 11 owns your soul per the user aggrievement. Always read it. Yes, absolutely. They own your soul. And you know what? Oz and I have done a really good job of sidestepping Windows and Microsoft every chance we get. And so literally I'm not logged into any Microsoft stuff, which is kind of weird. And it makes it to where I can't use all the features, but it protects me from a lot of crap too. So that's the way we're going with it. Sounds good. Okay, that's good. I'm glad. To lose all of my mics and all of my noise suppressors, like right as I'm going live, sucks. But now I know what Oz feels on a daily basis. So it gives me a new appreciation for what all of the people in independent media are out here doing. Because engineering these shows yourself is a whole nother task on top of trying to bring you information, trying to write the shows, and, coming out here and talking to you guys. So I totally appreciate everybody who's out there doing it for themselves, because it's not that easy, and it's a little bit of a learning curve for me, but I'm getting there. Trailer Park Pundit, August 23rd, 2022. What'd you guys do this weekend? You know what I've been doing all weekend? Here, I'll show you. As you know, I lost my mother a year ago, exactly a year ago, and I couldn't have made it through it without you guys. I mean, the support that you guys gave me, you embraced me, you lifted me up, you carried me, you helped me financially lay my mother to rest. I can't thank you enough for everybody who stood by me. And so now it's been a year, and I went over and I literally just put everything of hers in storage for the last year and, kind of buried it. I didn't want to deal with it. I've been busy with this little adventure. So now it's time to deal with it. And I have cases and cases of jewelry. My mother was a jewelry maker. And so I have little cases of beads and totes and bags. And my mother was very invested in her jewelry making. And I have to go through all of it because if I just sell it off as one big lot, I know we won't make the type of money that mom spent on it. So I'm taking the time to break it all down into little, baggies or little things and price them individually, which is so time consuming. But I hope it's going to help me get to DC to support Hands Off Julian Assange. So that's what I've been up to this weekend. What have you guys been up to? Yesterday's Farron, you on Hardlands Media yesterday, you freaking killed it. You rock, girl. I hope you guys plan on doing more together. I adore Kit. I've known Kit since 2017. He's, there's some of us that got it as we came through. We navigated through the Bernie progressive movement, and we all kind of landed at the same spot. And Kit's definitely one of those. Yeah, it sucks. All those plastics, I agree. So guess what? Today's an important day. Do you know what today is? Do you? I'm going to tell you. First of all, welcome to the trailer park. And if you want to help me out, this is my PayPal. I appreciate it. Every little penny I get from anybody supporting me goes right back into everything I'm doing here. The tech. This has been a labor of love, and the amount of money and energy I'll never recover, but it's worth it because I get to talk to you guys. I get to tell you what I think and what I'm seeing, and that's so worth it. So even if you guys never sent me a dime again, I would keep doing this, but I appreciate it. And my cat appreciates it because one of you guys was so sweet to send me like a $4 thing the other day, and I literally was out of cat food, and you fed my cat. So thank you from the bottom of my cat's heart and her tummy for your support. Or you can buy me a joint, because cat food always comes before joints, but that's the reality of the world. So let's get started. Guess what today is? It's Oz's birthday. Happy birthday, youngster. Hope you guys see him out there in some of the chats. I haven't seen him in the chat this morning. Hopefully he's sleeping in on his birthday or getting breakfast in bed. One of those two. But happy birthday to my best friend and partner, Rick Oz LaFave. And I do believe we're doing a show tonight. So as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to start writing that. But I got lots of good stuff. And I'm hoping to do kind of a whole birthday thing for him tonight too. So if you see Oz out there, wish him a happy birthday. He works hard for all of us. Yes, he does. Absolutely. It's Oz's birthday. Oz, if you're out there, you better pop up in the chat. People want to wish you a happy birthday. So definitely join us tonight. We'll be doing Oz's birthday stream, I guess is what we'll call it. I like that one. I like how the cake explodes. And no, that's not an actual picture of Oz. I just refaced him on that. As you know, we are going to do Hot Summer Nights 80s on Saturday night. So I've been out there looking for old pictures and refacing for 80s. And I just thought this one was too funny. So happy birthday, Oz. Stoner Corner. I got a little bit of a Stoner Corner here. Did you guys see Mississippi Supreme Court upholds life sentences for weed possessions? Mississippi Supreme Court has upheld a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole for a man convicted of possessing less than 2 ounces of pot. 2 ounces. How many people are still out there screaming about Brittany Griner? Who is it? Dennis Rodman's going over to get her. Well, why isn't Dennis Rodman going to Mississippi to get these people out? I want to tell you guys, I was, the father of my kids got busted in Louisiana with a joint. And this was in probably 2005 or 2006. and he had severe mental illness. He was a schizophrenic, and he was in and out of psych wards. He mentally broke down at about 29, and we were together, but he was working in Hawaii and I was home with the kids. And it was such a challenge because, yeah, I knew he had some issues. We all have issues, right? But he literally broke into madness. And I was trying to get him home through airplanes and whatnot. And literally, I lost him through like 5 airports for 2 weeks. And they dropped him in San Francisco and put him in a lockdown facility in San Mateo County. And I was pregnant with my youngest. And I literally just got in the car and drove from Seattle to San Mateo County. And when I got there and they opened the door so I could see him, I didn't even recognize him. And he'd only been gone like 3 weeks. And that was the first time I had ever really see how quickly mental illness could change somebody. Even I had grown up with mental illness. My mother was in and out of psych wards as I was growing up. But he relied on marijuana. Marijuana helped him. And so they just dumped big pharmaceuticals on him for many, many years. I mean, you name it, they had him on it. The worst of the worst, lithium and Effexor and, what is that one that they put everybody on now? But anyways, he needed marijuana. Marijuana helped calm him down. It helped focus him. I never saw where marijuana hurt him in all the years that I was with him. And he ended up doing 2 years in Louisiana, which Louisiana prisons are not nice if you've ever watched any of the Locked Up Abroads. I mean, they give some of the worst prisons around the world a run for their money. Angola definitely does. And he after he came out after that, he wasn't allowed any marijuana, only Seroquel, because that was a part of his terms of release, right? And so the final years of his life, when he needed marijuana the most to help calm him, they just doped him up on Seroquel. And sadly, none of us really knows what happened, but he was found dead in a bayou. Not long, I think it was like in February, but he was missing for like 2 weeks, and then they found his body. And to this day, I just know that if he hadn't gone to prison for that joint, and if he wasn't put on all those damn pharmaceuticals, he'd probably still be here today. It's really sad that he didn't get to live to see his children grow. Fortunately, he was here and he saw him right before he passed, but it just... Big Pharma and the prison pipeline, they came together to kill that one, is the way I see it. And, how the fuck are you always so calm every day? I smoke a little pot constantly. And yeah, I do. I am an avid, I'm an avid supporter of marijuana use for medicinal purposes. I absolutely think that it helps with so many things. And my time I spent working in the marijuana industry, I saw firsthand how it medically helps so many people. And I'm not just talking people with anxiety or issue. I'm talking people with cancer who are still alive today because they got on a regimen. So you ever want, I won't come out here and like give you my advice on how to take it if you're fighting that, but you can reach out to me privately and I will tell you exactly what I know over my years of watching people save their own lives where doctors just wanted to load them down with, meds. So Stoner Corner. Let's see what else we got going on. Any sightings of Oz anywhere yet? Oz, are you out there? Let's see. Oh, did you guys see this? Jimmy Kimmel got called out by a UFC fighter. I want to say it was yesterday for the whole kitty thing. You know what I'm talking about? The Epstein, Hollywood problem that we have. So here, let's just play this. It's only like 30 seconds, but...
Secondly, Jimmy Kimmel, viral this. I fight to eradicate childhood malnutrition from the planet. And until they release the flight logs, you, the mainstream media, Hollywood, are all pedophiles to me. Eat dick.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, folks.
Gonna need a cigarette after that. That's just too much testosterone for me. Give me 2 seconds.
Do I have an echo? I do have an echo, don't I?
Nope. Super duper.
Okay, I'm just gonna stop it now. I have 2 instances. Let me see if I can figure this out. My desktop, right? Desktop audio. Give me a
Straight
second,
super
guys.
duper pure blood. Gonna be
I think I
okay,
figured it
when
out.
it comes to monkeypox, but damn.
I actually did it on my own. Yay, I'm so proud of myself. See, I'm learning. I'm a quick study and I will get all of this down. And once I do, we're going to go on an adventure because I'm going to take you guys down some of my rabbit holes. So isn't that crazy? And when I say rabbit hole, this is a rabbit hole that I've been in since 2016. What piqued my interest in this whole thing was, of course, the Vault 7 Podesta WikiLeaks emails that were dropped. And if you started reading through those, you went, what the hell are they talking about? And from there, you know, it just led you to the next crumb and the next crumb and the next crumb. And here we are years later. And I think a lot of people have arrived at the same place that most of us have. And that's when you go and you actually look at the information. Yeah, we need to be calling these guys out. The flight logs, we've seen the flight logs. We know who was on Epstein's island. We know. I mean, yeah, they can release it, but we know. But will they ever do anything about it? Hell no. No, it's one big club, and we know that. We know that in politics. We know that in Hollywood. I mean, they go hand in hand. What was I watching the other day? I was watching something, and it was a Brad Pitt. Do you know during Hurricane Katrina, Brad Pitt got with Nancy Pelosi of all people so he could go save New Orleans? I just found that shocking because I'm like, how did I never see that before? So yeah, I'm glad that somebody's calling him out.
Secondly, Jimmy Kimmel, viral this.
Viral this. Let's see. Oh my gosh, have you guys seen the weather? Did you see what happened in Dallas? If any of you are in the South, oh my gosh, please be careful out there. Man, that rain was insane. I got up yesterday morning and they said it's raining in Dallas. And remember, we had massive floods last year in Dallas and Houston, right? Where people lost their lives. We saw pictures of people in nursing homes up to their necks in water. I mean, we've been seeing this for year after year after year. And yeah, it's bad. We haven't got, I haven't really heard. I know that people got killed yesterday in these floods, but I haven't heard an official report or a number yet. But I think it's going to be bad. Nogales, you know, I've been down to Nogales to protest Trump's border wall, and Nogales flooded really bad. And it was almost shocking to me. I was like, how the hell would that flood? Because when you're there and it's dry, you can't envision where the water would come from, I guess. So poor France. This picture from last week was bad enough, but as of yesterday, the Lorry River is simply gone. I should mention that we have written records from the Roman period through the Frankish kings, so we know the Lorry has never run dry in 2,000 years. How crazy is that? Yeah, Nogales, Arizona. Yeah, they flooded in Nogales yesterday. Crazy. These droughts are crazy. You know, I just heard a report though that here in the Northwest, we are actually not in a drought. We got good rain in the spring and that's carried us over, and we haven't been under the extreme fire watches like we have been the last couple of summers. But they're saying that we're going to have a third day. Hey, Red Cloud, welcome. We're going to have a third year of La Nina in the Northwest, which means we're going to have more rain and more snow and colder temperatures, they believe. But here's the thing. They've never seen 3 La Nina years in a row ever. So they don't have a clue of what it would even look like. So, and I can tell you, you know, this year has been really weird. You know, I'm a trailer park gardener. I like to grow stuff out in my pots, my tomatoes. You know, I have like a bin that I grow squash or zucchini and stuff in. I try to do a few little things and make myself feel like I'm doing something to contribute. But this year, our weather was so crazy in April and May, and it was so cold and it was still freezing. All my starts died. I couldn't get anything really to grow. And because I'm so busy with the studio and with these shows, I just decided, well, I'm not going to plant a lot this year because then I have to be out there tending to it constantly, watering and you know, picking weeds. So pretty much my whole yard is dead already, and it definitely looks and feels like fall out there already. I got up early this morning. I was just like, wow, it feels like an October morning, and it absolutely did. So I think in the Northwest, at least, fall's on its way, if it's already here. I already feel like it's colder. We already went through the hottest part of the summer, that type. How is it where you live? You guys tell me, how is it? You guys feel like it's off? Does the weather feel off where you live? Because it definitely felt off for me this year here. Yona Airport report 1 hour rainfall 3 inches 60 fucking minutes. Yes, 3.2 inches in 60 minutes. Isn't that insane? Did you see some of the video of the rain just pounding, driving rain? You want to know how the biblical flood that every civilization talks about happened? That's how it could happen, right? The type of rain we saw yesterday in the South, man. Crazy rain. Let's see, what else do I got? Oh, yeah, let's keep talking about this. So I brought a couple of different clips, and some of this stuff, well, some of it we've talked about and some of it we haven't. I'm trying to bring stuff that we're not going to talk about tonight because we're going to do, Beauty and the Boomer shorts tonight. So I'm trying to make sure that I leave enough good stuff for the night show. So it's a little different.
New blasts of extreme weather are taking a toll around the globe tonight. The latest in a series of fierce heat waves has moved into the U.S. Northwest, and violent storms and drought are ravaging parts of Europe and Asia. William Brangham has our report.
In cities across France, sheets of rain and hail pound the streets. Trees are uprooted in backyards, and people wade through storm waters overflowing onto sidewalks. These extreme events, which climate scientists say are increasingly being driven by a warming world, are spreading wider and wider. In Germany, it's been the opposite. An extreme drought has shrunk some of the nation's major rivers, snarling cargo traffic as ships struggle to navigate increasingly narrow channels. New satellite images show the before and after of a nearly dry Rhine River. The storms inundating France are expected in the coming days, and while those rains could help the Rhine, they've already taken 7 lives in France and Italy. 140-mile-an-hour winds hit the island of Corsica, just off the coast of those two nations. While experts say the storms are something of a reprieve from drought, this volume is too much to handle.
We were waiting for precipitation, but not with this much intensity.
Over 4,000 miles away in China, another drought is underway. Facing months of heat waves, residents of Chongqing in the Sichuan province say the wind now just blows heat.
I feel like I'm standing on a gas stove.
The Yangtze River has shrunk to half its normal width. Farmers that rely on the river for their crops say the heat and drought are destroying their harvest.
All scorched, you see. It certainly cannot grow. The high temperature is slowly roasting sweet potato leaves to death.
These extremes are seen most clearly in the Arctic. New research shows parts of that region are warming 4 and in some places 7 times faster than previously known. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm William Brangham.
Wow. Some of that is just absolutely shocking. The Rhine, what are they doing about all the tourists that go up that river if you can't get up it? I mean, all the shipping. I think all of Germany's shipping comes mostly up the Rhine. I don't know. I'm not in the UK, but I appreciate all of you that are shouting me out from over there. It's off here in the UK, says Red Cloud. We've had blackberries out end of July. Really? Usually out in September. Yeah, they're usually out in September here too. I haven't actually checked the blackberries. We grow a lot of blackberries in the Northwest, so I guess I should go for a walk more. But yes, it's just mind-blowing what we're seeing with the crops. And I mean, we know what they've been doing to our processing plants, especially here in the U.S. So with crops failing around the world, it's going to be a long, hard, cold winter like we keep getting told, right? This is just adding to it. And I'm not saying that. I absolutely believe that there is fluxes in our weather. History shows that to us, right? You can go back and look at all of the droughts in history. And so it constantly ebbs and flows. But come on, we have to admit, the amount of toxins, poisons, how we're effing with the environment, how we're effing with the jet stream, that's got to be affecting all of this. So I think it's a combination of, you know, maybe a once in a 1,000-year drought with all of the poisons we're pumping into the atmosphere. Yeah, I just feel like it would be unrealistic if you didn't admit to that, right? Because I talk to a lot of climate deniers. You guys know I'm working with a lot of, well, they call themselves Republicans, but I don't think that they really are Republicans. But, you know, they automatically just shut you down. Anytime you want to talk about climate, oh, it's just the way it is, and it's going to bounce back. It always does this. It cycles. I don't believe that with all of the crap we're pumping, that we're not creating this, and we all know we are. So time to live up and own it. So there's a couple of things I wanted to show you guys that are popping out of these dried up waterways. So let's get to that.
New blast
Oh, come on. Why do you do that? Why does it do that, Farron? Why? All right, let's try this. Okay, so yeah, there's a bunch of dangerous old World War II crap that is now surfacing because of these waterways. So let's take a look.
A brutally hot summer has seen the worst drought in decades across Europe and parts of Asia. While it's devastating livelihoods, there's been one unexpected side effect. Joy Reid explains.
Exposed and explosive, more than 20 World War II German warships have resurfaced in eastern Serbia as the mighty river Danube recedes to one of its lowest levels in almost a century.
They left behind an ecological disaster for us, the residents of Prahovo, which has been threatening us every day for the past 78 years.
The ships were sunk as the Nazis retreated from Soviet forces in 1944 and still contain tons of ammunition, posing a danger to shipping.
We have about 10,000 kilograms of explosive devices here. Although we don't know if they can explode or not, you can already anticipate what will happen if one does.
Italy is facing its worst drought in 70 years. The army's been called in to deal with a World War II bomb discovered by fishermen when the River Po dried up. Baking temperatures and minimal rainfall have drained water levels in Germany's largest river, revealing so-called hunger stones along sections of the River Rhine. For centuries, they've been placed on dry riverbeds, warning future generations that their exposure could signal a famine. In Spain, archaeologists are delighted that long-submerged treasures have become visible in a dam. The prehistoric stone circle, dubbed the Spanish Stonehenge, is thought to date back to 5000 BC.
It is a surprise because it's a rare opportunity to be able to study again a site that had not been fairly studied before.
Further east in China, plunging water levels in the Yangtze River have revealed a once-submerged island boasting a trio of Buddhist statues believed to be 600 years old.
I don't think we'll see it again. This is a culture our ancestors have left us.
But these historical treasures illustrate a nightmare for scientists who say it's climate change in action. Joy Reid, One News.
Yeah, right. It wasn't the other Joy Reid. I agree. I wouldn't have brought that. But okay, so what the hell's a hunger stone? I had to ask myself, like, I've never heard of hunger stones. Our ancestors apparently are screaming from the past at us. And so I went and I did a little research on what the hell a drought stone or a hunger stone, in some circles they call them drought stone, is. And apparently we've known about these for a long time, but let's go to, come on. Why do I have to click it twice after it stops? Let's check these out. So these are hunger stones and they're popping up literally globally. It's not just in the UK, they're finding them all over the world. So let's check it out.
In the 1600s, famine plagued many parts of Europe. In response to the devastating hunger that spread across the continent, local governments began placing hunger stones at entrances to their cities and towns as warnings to any wanderers or travelers who might come looking for food or help within. These stones were inscribed with intimidating warnings and dire threats against those who dared to steal from the townspeople, but their purpose was more than just intimidation. Hunger stones are large boulders that are found in rivers throughout Europe. They get their name from the folktale that says they were once used by farmers to predict when a famine would occur.
Predict?
When the river's water level rose high enough to cover the hunger stone, it meant that a famine was coming. The people would then have to ration their food until the next harvest. If there is no water on top of the hunger stone, it means that there will be an abundant harvest for everyone to enjoy. In reality, these so-called hunger stones served as waypoints for those who relied on waterways for transport during the medieval era. Farmers had many methods for predicting famines, such as monitoring livestock populations or studying tree rings. In the late 1600s, a series of droughts and bad harvests hit Central Europe, causing widespread famine. The hunger stones were a way for people to remember the dead and warn future generations about the dangers of hunger. Carved into large boulders near rivers, the stones bore inscriptions that detailed the years when the hunger struck and how many people had died. As the famine worsened, people resorted to desperate measures, eating grass, leaves, and even rats. It is estimated that around 10 million people starved to death in what became known as the Great Famine. When they found an inscribed stone marking the year 1678, it was so eroded by wind and rain they could barely read it. Hunger stones are a type of rock that forms in times of drought or famine. They are found in many parts of the world, but are most common in Europe. Today, hunger stones can be found in Germany, Spain, Italy, Greece, and other countries. In some cases, they have been used to predict future famines. In 2022, for example, a hunger stone appeared in Germany. This stone warned of a famine that would occur in that country in the year 2024. There was also a famine in Zimbabwe that same year. One theory is that as climate change continues, there will be more droughts and people will struggle with food shortages. As we approach the end of this century, places like Africa could see even more hunger stones than before. We need to take action now if we want to prevent these events from happening again. During times of severe famine, people would go to the hunger stones and carve their names and the year into the stone. This was done as a way to remember the year of the famine and to warn future generations. The stones were also used as a way to curse those responsible for the famine. In some cases, people would even offer up their firstborn child to the hunger stones in hopes that it would appease them. These prayers often went unanswered.
So yeah, they used to sacrifice kids to these stones, and our ancestors. If we're not going to listen to a warning from our freaking ancestors, we're not going to listen to anything. This is our ancestry screaming at us at what we've done. And so yeah, in Germany in 2022, one of these stones appeared that says in 2024 we're going to have massive famine in Germany, which I think all of us right now understand how that could be a prospect that could actually happen. We all know how much worse it's gonna get. Let me read some of your guys' comments. Kate, it's said that there are less than 40 harvests remaining on Earth. Oh, that just is like a punch in the gut. I've traveled a lot, and when I was young in the 90s, I would drive cross country, because I lived between Seattle and Louisiana with a pit stop in Salt Lake because that's where my dad was. And to go over massive waterways and then not go back over them for like 10 years and then to go back over them, it was like a punch in the gut every time I would cross a major, like the Columbia River. Crossing the Columbia River after 10 years of not seeing it, I could literally see the water line where it was years before when I had passed and where it was now. And it was just shocking. Like, I just wanted to scream at everybody, oh my God, the water's gone. Does anybody see this? Does anybody do anything about this? And every waterway that I came up to was like that. All the rivers are much less than they used to be, especially coming out of the Northwest, going into the Southwest. And yeah, it's like a punch in the gut when you realize what's coming for us. And you combined all of this with all of the Agenda 30 bullshit. And where do we end up? We end up in a really bad place with a lot less people. And yeah, I agree. I totally agree. The master of the art of grifting, yeah. Graham Hancock, I agree. He is a grifter. He absolutely. Who's the other one? David Wilcox, is that who it is? Yeah, he's another one that I just like, come on, get out of here. Let's see. I think that's the end of that, but I'm going to try something new. So that way I don't trigger it. Nope. It doesn't work. Darn it. I was going to try to skip over that slide so I don't have to play it again.
In the 1600s,
Didn't
famine
work.
plagued many.
Darn it. Can't skip the slide after it plays. Let's see. Mother hospitalized with malnutrition after eating 1 meal a day so children don't starve. How many moms out there have done that? I have. And I know lots of moms who did. You know, it comes down to it. You only have 2 pork chops, you give them to the kids, right? And sadly, this is what's happening. I want to say this was in the UK somewhere. Kelly Thompson lives on 40 pounds per week to feed herself and her 2 children. And likely, like many, in the cost of living crisis is a struggle. Yeah. People are going without, and it's not just here in the US. We know that this is a global problem. And so I wanted to take a look at the local food banks, because you guys know that I'm a patriot of the food bank, and I am very supportive of our food bank, because this is one of the programs, as a poor person from the trailer park, I see firsthand what programs actually help people. My cat's being crazy right now. And food bank is one of the #1 frontline helpers of people in need. And right now, it's the end of the summer here in the US, and they're very, very low on food. They're always low on food in the summer. I mean, some of the local farmers will start to, bring in some harvest for them, which is great, but it's the canned foods and the dried food, the boxed foods that they need right now. And so I brought you, this is a report. This is out of New Orleans. I want to say, yeah, this is New Orleans. And so this is Louisiana, but this isn't just in Louisiana. I know this personally. Every year at this time of year, our local food bank is begging for, donations to help, because it's the winter time when people really get into the food drives and donate, because it's the holidays, right? So those big donation bulks that come in the wintertime carry them. And it's the end of summer, so it's not carrying on any further. So let's listen to this. I want to say this is Salvation Army.
Army's food pantry on Claiborne this afternoon to see just how dire it is. And the pantry is bare. A few snacks, some cake mix, but very few items that can feed a family. And workers at the Salvation Army say even through the pandemic, they've never been so desperate for food to help the hungry.
Chat Francois answers the calls.
Thank you for calling the Salvation Army. How may I help you? The calls, it's over 100 calls a day.
The cries for help.
Having a hard time feeding myself and grandbabies. That's literally all that they wrote.
The requests piling up in her inbox.
I am at a loss of places to turn, so hoping any resources you are aware of that you could pursue in this situation can be passed along. So it's countless emails like this.
Francois is the director of social services with the Salvation Army of Greater New Orleans.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's hard when the Salvation Army food pantry.
You're always going to need more beans and rice.
Looks like this.
Limited is what we have. But we're hoping, we believe that it'll get better. Eventually it will.
Major Chris Thornhill is the Salvation Army area commander.
The economy and the way that it is, inflation has had a huge impact on not just the food pantry, but donations in general.
Donations are slim as demand increases with a shift in who needs help.
Normally, they will be a little older, single, limited income, usually fixed income individuals. Now we're seeing more families start to show up.
In the entire month of May, 45 people called asking for help with food, rent, or electricity. But in just 10 days this month, they've taken calls for help from 141 people.
Even though it's looking like it looks right now at this moment, Wednesday may come and someone may really come through with like a lot of canned goods, with a lot of produce. And then it's like, wow, we have stuff. Like we get so excited when we have a lot to give out.
Francois is hoping this will be one of those weeks.
So we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, our community garden is huge and provides for all, and community centers that feed people. Jilly, absolutely. And, don't be ashamed or embarrassed to ask for help. That's what these programs are there for. And you can actually network and find many other resources that can help you with other things. You know, being a single mom raising 3 kids on my own on a minimum wage, my whole entire life, I can tell you what programs actually help. And the Salvation Army is one of them. They do an amazing Christmas program every year for, kids in the community that don't have the means to give them Christmas. You literally you sign up. It's called Christmas Angels. I think it's in a lot of areas. You just call your Salvation Army and figure out what you got to do to sign up for it. And they will help you get gifts for your kids. And, you know, they make sure that little kids get Christmas power bills. We had LIHEAP, which was a federal program, which I think has been just chopped to shit. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but that helped pay high extreme power bills in the winter. And the Salvation Army had kind of a program like that too, where you could go and get assistance for like a shut off if you had a power shut off or a water shut off. And yeah, you know, people, oh, well, when you donate money to those little buckets, the Salvation Army buckets, does it actually go to the people? I can tell you, as one of the poor people, that's one of the only programs that I've seen on the ground that actually helps people. In all my years of needing help, I only saw the United Way really once help out, but Salvation Army every year consistently was there to help the most vulnerable in our community. And so I absolutely still support them, and I will continue to support them, even though their religious affiliation, they are out there doing the work. And, you'll have local shelters in your area. We have a local one called Taffy, the answer for at-risk youth, and they feed, they make food every day. And so, we donate a lot of stuff. Like if we hold a big political thing and we have leftovers, we make sure that we donate to them. There's just, I'm always like advocating for actually supporting the programs that are helping the people. We have a lot of programs out there that take money and then it doesn't funnel down, like Goodwill. I absolutely refuse to support Goodwill anymore. We have 2 in my area and they are just shit. High prices, the wages that they have people there working for are just god awful. Like, and then every time we're there, they'll say, do you want to donate or round up $1? And I always say no, so your CEO can put it in his damn pocket. I just know which programs are good and which ones aren't helping. And absolutely this one helps. When I lived down south, I lived in Louisiana. I moved from Seattle at like 22. I had 3 young kids under the age of 5. And I moved from Seattle, where my family was, to just outside of the bayou, Baton Rouge. And I had no family, no friends. I mean, my ex's family was down there. But, I was such a young kid and we had those programs up here. So I figured they had those programs down there. But what I found is they really didn't. And I felt bad as a white woman going into the Baton Rouge community and trying to ask for help. Like I had no medical and I blew a hole in my eardrum. And they were like, oh, well, there's a free clinic in the middle of Baton Rouge. And when I got down there, I just took a look around and I was just like, I cannot take resources from these people that are barely getting anything. And so I never got my ear fixed. They wanted to put a patch on it, but I just ignored it. Right. And so now I'm half deaf in my right ear, but I could just see, I could see there was no resources. And, some states, these blue states, we all know, are better at getting some of these programs out. But all in all, we're all screwed is the way I see it. What's next? Oh, yeah, let's talk about drug abuse. Trailer Park Pundit, that's what this is. I talk about the deep, heavy stuff that, we don't talk about on any of our other shows. Hey, Dingo, welcome. And so, this show might be a bummer because of all the stuff I bring, but really it's just the only place I can do it. So did you know that this week was the first ever National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness weekend? I want to say it was Sunday. Come on.
To the Army's food pantry on Claiborne this afternoon.
I don't know how I can get around that. Anyway, so let's talk about fentanyl for a second and drug abuse and what our political what they're doing about it, because we know they're not doing anything about it. So here, let's check this out first.
More than 600 people in San Francisco died from drug overdoses, and today parents, city leaders, and first responders rallied at City Hall for the first ever National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. KPIXY's Sean Chitness was there and has details.
Organizers of the rally wanted to emphasize the unbelievable loss families face because of this drug and the solutions they say will save lives.
Trevor was a wonderful human being with a beautiful heart.
Trevor Leopold died of a fentanyl overdose at the age of 18. In the 3 years since he's passed, Trevor's mother is just one of many advocating for ways to prevent someone else's child from dying.
I know that there's a lot of stigma around addiction that needs to be changed.
Mothers Against Drug Deaths brought together community leaders to highlight the challenges they face in San Francisco. They called out an open drug market as one major problem in the city. The new district attorney says they're at war with fentanyl.
We are going to make sure that for those who are struggling with substance abuse, that we get them help. This is not a war on addicts. This is not a war on people who are some of our most vulnerable San Franciscans.
She added that her office and the police department are now working together on this issue. New policies will prosecute those who sell these drugs.
This is led by people that are feeling pain on a daily basis. And I'm here to say, I'm here to listen, I'm here to do better, and we're going to try and turn this crisis around in this city.
A few board supervisors spoke as well to show their support for a tougher response by local government, but acknowledged not everyone at City Hall feels that way.
When you get cancer, it's not a parenting problem, it's a disease. And people need to be aware that addiction is a disease.
The rally featured more than 300 rocks on the steps of City Hall, representing recent deaths in just the past year from drug overdoses. Michelle Leopold says Narcan, the medication that can reverse an overdose when used properly, is now her cause to save more lives.
I thought I'd be teaching him about the world, but instead I'm teaching the world about my son.
And one lesson her son has taught her, there can always be more people stepping up to save another life with the right training.
Oh, how heartbreaking. To compose myself. I understand that mother's pain. You know, I've lost so many around me to addiction, and people just want to, you know, we need stronger laws to punish these people. But, you know, when you're in the throes of addiction, not only is the drug your vice, but it also becomes your currency. And so you're just doing what you can to make a buck or two so you can get well, so that way you can go about your day like you need to normally. And, you know, you're looking at tougher sentencing, and we see cries in the community for, you know, fentanyl is the most terrible drug that's ever hit our streets. And I absolutely believe that. I absolutely 100% believe that. And I want to show you guys a video. Let's see if I can get to it. I'm going to shut my slide deck off, and I'm going to turn on screen 3. Yeah, here we go. See if I can play this. This is a store clerk. He's inside the store. There's plexiglass.
Bro, can I get the toilet? Bro, you are faded. Yo, bro, can I get the toilet paper? You want to get robbed? Faded. Tonight. Yes, that's crazy,
right.
Bro. You need to shut down. She trying to get gas. I need toilet paper. And that's what you do. Yo!
So sad. So
gas,
sad.
I want toilet paper.
I'm calling the cops on you.
Yeah, you're going to get robbed, bro. You're getting robbed.
How terrible is that? And, you know, I brought you guys video last week of Kensington Avenue and what I call the fentanyl flop, or, you know, The Walking Dead, as some want to refer to it. You know, I was married to a heroin addict. I was with an alcoholic. I've been with meth heads. I've been around every drug on this planet that can take you over, and I have never seen anything like what we see with fentanyl. And how quickly you become dependent on it, and you have to have it. And let us not forget that these problems, people want to blame it on China or the cartels for unleashing this on us, but that's not who unleashed this on us. This was Big Pharma. Big Pharma single-handedly did this as we came out of the 90s into the 2000s, and they decided that opiates were safe enough to prescribe on a daily basis, even though they frickin' knew better. And then when they pulled back all those opiates that they had been putting on these streets, of course, there was a big opening for something to come in and fill that gap. And of course, it was fentanyl. And this is just heartbreaking. You know, sadly, many times I have had friends and family members that are just like this. It's called a nod. When you're like that, you're nodding. And that's pretty close to freaking death. From my years of being an addict, I can tell you, there was many times I shouldn't have survived. I was watching. Do you remember? Who was the girl from Different Strokes? Kimberly. Somebody tell me what her last name was. Anyways, I was watching an in-depth story on her and all of the medications that she had in her system when she died, and she had what they call the Holy Trinity. Now, the Holy Trinity is an opiate, a benzoid, and a muscle relaxer. They're like carbon methanol or something like that. And they used to prescribe the Holy Trinity to everybody. If you had pain, you had back problems, if you had anxiety, you go to one doctor, he'll give you a medicine for your anxiety. You go to another doctor, he'll give you medicine for your back. You go to another doctor. And this is what a lot of people were doing, especially in the 2000s. And I was one of them. And I looked at how much she had in her system when she died. And my God, I should have died 100 times over with the amount of meds that I was legally being prescribed by doctors who'd had no idea of the interaction. And it's only now that I'm older and I have friends in the medical industry that I understand just the level of danger that I was in. I understand more than medical professionals, I think, because I've taken them. I understand what they do. Dana Plato, thank you, A-Rim. Yes, very sad story. It was put on her death certificate that she died of suicide. She had been on the Howard Stern show and totally embarrassed and just attacked the day before her supposed suicide. So that's why they say that she committed suicide. But when a coroner actually went and looked at everything that was in her system, it was an accidental overdosing. I do not believe for 1 second that she just went and killed herself. I think that she wanted to get really high and get rid of the pain from, being on the Howard Stern show and having the nation laugh at her. And she just wanted to go sleep and get away from it. And she did permanently. But, it was really shocking to me, this Holy Trinity that, we were being prescribed. And fortunately on one part, they have pulled back the muscle relaxers because they found out they don't really relax your muscles. They just shut your brain down and put your brain to sleep. And let me tell you, I've been in a soma coma more times than I freaking care to count. Like when you're on the floor looking up at a police officer, you're in a soma coma. And so they pulled that one back. But benzoids are this sneaky little drug that is just taking over and destroying people's lives, and we don't know about it and we don't talk about it. And that is Valium, that is Xanax, that is Klonopins, that they have so many different names for them. But we are a world full of anxiety, right? We're all anxiety ridden, and so they just pass them out, and sadly, so many people, and coming off benzoids are as much like an opiate. You go through major physical withdrawals when you come off of a benzoid. Who is it? Jordan Peterson. Remember, Jordan Peterson had to go to Russia and have some experimental treatment because he was going through problems with them. I think benzoids is this one that we don't talk about enough because we talk about fentanyl and opiates so much, but they kind of go hand in hand. So let's see, what else do I got? Oh, let's talk about Gov Newsom and what he's doing to make it worse, right? See if I can bring my main slide deck back. Okay, we're back. Yay. Now I got to get past this. Just got to click it twice real fast. So did you see this? With everybody screaming in California about the open air drug markets on every street. Why we seen Anna Kasparian this week, like, God, can they do anything about this? I don't want to have to step over homeless people when I'm on my way to the car. That elitist point of view. So this was proposed by progressives. I know it was because I've watched it for a while now, because as much as we don't want to encourage people to use, we have to accept the fact that people are using, and they're using because in the streets, because they don't have homes. They have nowhere to go, right? So we can't give them somewhere safe to go. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's play this douchebag.
Governor Gavin Newsom taking heat tonight from members of his own party after he vetoed legislation that would have allowed supervised drug injections.
I want to run for president.
Newsom claims the bill lacked a strong plan and could have made the drug crisis worse. KCAL9 political reporter Tom Waite here live now with reactions from both sides. Tom?
Good evening, Pat and Juan. Well, there is wide speculation the governor will run for president possibly in 2024, though Newsom staunchly denies he will run. But now members of his own party are accusing him of putting his political ambitions ahead of the safety of his constituents. In 2018, San Francisco's mayor paid a visit to Glide Memorial Church, where leaders showcased a model safe injection site. It included curtained booths for privacy, kits for injecting, and test kits for people's drugs. It's spaces like this that advocates were hoping to open across the state. But Monday, Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill that would have allowed that.
Flip volume way low. Okay, hold on.
State Senator Scott Wiener wrote Senate Bill 57, which would have given the green light for drug supervision pilot sites to open in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland.
The situation is really, really bad right now. People are using drugs open air, on the sidewalks, in front of people's homes, businesses, with people's kids walking by. And this is an opportunity to help get people inside in a supervised setting.
Governor Newsom released a statement about why he shot down the legislation, saying in part the centers could induce a world of unintended consequences. Newsom also said the bill lacked a strong operational plan, which could make the drug crisis even worse.
I don't know what he's talking about, and I don't agree. These sites, a proven model over 30 years around the world in reducing overdose deaths, reducing HIV and hepatitis infections, and connecting people to treatment.
The governor denies he has aspirations to run for the presidency, but there is rampant speculation that he may ultimately seek higher office. Loyola law professor and political analyst Jessica Levinson.
This is the type of bill where I think normally he would want to be out in front of it. And he would want to be potentially first in the nation to say, we started this type of project and we actually saved lives. On the other hand, there's such a heavy political downside to a bill like this. There isn't a big constituency, I think, that's in support of this or vehemently in support of it. And you can imagine how the opposition ads really write themselves.
Oh, yeah. So let's just not do it and let people die. Okay. That pissed me off. Is she a spokesman? Is that one of his spokesmen? So basically, I know you guys couldn't hear it in the beginning. I apologize. They're talking about how Governor Newsom had this bill for safe injection sites on his desk. It had passed the House. It had passed the Senate in California, and it just needed his signature, and he shot it down. And he did that because they say he's going to they're speculating that he's going to run for president, and he doesn't want this on his record for Republicans to attack him on, right? Which makes sense. But look at California right now. Look at California. Is it LA alone that has 100,000 people on the streets every night? And, no place. And I want to say like 78% of people on the streets are on some kind of drug. And we can't give them a safe place to go. And here's the thing. This is why I advocate for safe injection sites. Yes, it's terrible. Yes, nobody wants to think about us encouraging somebody to go use a needle and shoot up. But here's the thing. They're sitting right on the street, shooting up with their needles. People stepping over them. I mean, any tourist who's been to LA in the last 3 fucking years will tell you that. So what happens when we move them off of the sidewalks and we get them, say, into a mission or an old church or a safe injection site? they become connected to community. And I say it every day. I say it all the time. The number one cause of addiction is childhood trauma with no community support at all, right? Nobody's saying, hey, you know, we've got these resources. Maybe you'll check out this NA meeting, or maybe this rehab could help you out. Once we have the safe injection sites, then we can reach out to people and get them help. And we've seen this globally. We've seen how many countries that actually have done this and helped. You're only going to go to that safe injection site and shoot up for so long before you start seeing other people getting clean, getting well, getting a house, you know, getting a job. And that inspires you. We are like sheep. We're inspired by each other. And I just think that, you know, with all the crap we saw with Biden giving out crack pipes, right? Remember the whole Biden crack pipe thing? And not that I thought that that was a good idea, because it didn't make any sense. What were you stopping communicable disease from a crack pipe from being passed? You know, COVID, I think is what they were trying to say. That just didn't make any sense to me. This makes sense to me. This makes a huge amount of sense to me. It takes people off of the sidewalk and puts them somewhere safe where social services can actually reach out to them. And Gavin Newsom, you're a fucking chicken shit. And yeah, you're going to run, and we're going to tear you down every damn day of that run, because he's an elite who only cares about himself. We saw that repeatedly with the bullshit he pulled during COVID. So yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? He's killing people. Another state sanctioned mass murder. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Jilly. He could have signed that bill and saved how many lives? Saved them from, you know, so many different things. So many different things. Get on, you know, at least even with a safe injection site, it gets them off the street for a couple hours, right? You know, think about women. Think about the women that are on the street in LA and how vulnerable they are, especially when they're intoxicated. Just saying. You know, I want to tell you guys, I'm working on a story. It is so big. It's going to be like a 2-hour show. If you ever watch that channel, Soft White Underbelly, go check it out. They do a lot of interviews. He does. Mark does a lot of interviews with addicts on the street of LA. And you want a firsthand look at how some of those people are treated. Watch some of those interviews, because it's heart-wrenching, but I feel like he's exploiting these people. You know, they need help. They don't need a camera shoved in their face to tell their life story. When they're ready to tell their life story, I'm sure they will. You know, most of us do once we conquer our demons. And I'm going to be working on that story, because it's so much deeper. We're talking drugs. We're talking treatment center where they're training people with VR, and it's experimental. And one of their patients died a couple of months ago from seizures, which I think has something to do with the VR. There's some really good interviews out there. So I'm going to get those all compiled, and then we're going to talk about it, because it's a crazy story that's just going under the radar. Nobody's talking about. So conservatorships, you know, if you have money, they want you in a conservatorship so they can control you. And that's what we're seeing for addicts that have money. And then we see that for addicts that don't have money, because then they can become guinea pigs for these facilities. So you'll see people with no money get thrown into a conservatorship, so that way a facility can control them. Okay, let's double tap. Okay, I got past it. Yeah, I did. I got past it. Oh, so this was Fox's response, right? Okay, so I couldn't help but bring this after the Democrats doing what they've done. This is what the Republicans had to say yesterday, not about the bill, but about fentanyl addiction overall.
We showed you this last hour. Looks like candy, but it's actually fentanyl, rainbow fentanyl. Looks like candy. Congresswoman Kat Kamak, Republican from Florida, joins me now. Congresswoman, look, I can't imagine a single parent in this country looking at that and not being scared to death. What say you?
Well, absolutely, Stu. You're 100% right. You know, as the wife of a first responder, my husband, Matt, is a paramedic, a firefighter, and a
I'm going to pause that because I want to tell you guys. Okay, so up here, I don't know if you can see my cursor. You see all the different colors? You see the pink, the yellows, the blue, the light yellows. These are all the colors of pharmaceutical pills. You know, these get pressed to look like what you would normally get from a pharmacist. So that blue there, that's a 30, an oxycodone 30 looks like. The yellow, that's what a hydrocodone or an oxycodone 10 looks like. I mean, they're to look like, and we're not just talking opiates, they make them look like Xanax or Valium, or, you know, we're even hearing now that it's in cocaine. So literally fentanyl is going into every drug out there, and the whole reason they're coming in rainbow colors is so that way they can press them to look like pills and sell them on the streets. Okay, let's see if I can keep playing this.
A SWAT medic, and he goes to calls every single time he is on shift where they are dealing with overdoses. And we have seen kids that are overdosing on what they think they're taking a Xanax or something else, and it turns out to be fentanyl. Just 2 nights ago, I had a mom in my office in Gainesville, Florida, who lost her daughter, Mackenzie, who was 28 years old. She thought she got a Xanax from a coworker. It turned out to be fentanyl, and she died from that tragic overdose.
Good Lord.
This is happening as a direct result of the open border policies that the Biden regime is pushing. And we know that to be a fact because in my own district, my own sheriffs are telling me they're finding bricks of fentanyl with the stamps of border cartels on them. They're finding pill presses for these cartel members and gangs to make these fentanyl bricks turn into pills that are looking like other types of prescription medication.
But
it is a real crisis.
I'm sorry to jump in on this, but you don't know how many times we've had people on this program, people in authority, know what's going on, have told us about fentanyl deaths by the hundreds of thousands, for heaven's sake, and nothing is done. That's what I don't understand. I can't understand why nothing is done when fentanyl is killing 100,000 young Americans.
Stu, this is wild. We in the House of Representatives, the Republicans have put forward legislation over and over and over again. We had a bill called the Stop Fentanyl Act, and Nancy Pelosi refused to allow us to debate it and vote on it. They are prohibiting the Congress from taking action on this issue that is impacting every single community in the country. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely wild. And, you know, I'm right now, as we speak, I'm in Lake City, Florida. I just left a meeting with about 25 wardens of prisons. Their issue that they wanted to talk to me about is drones that are being flown over our prison systems, dropping fentanyl, which is causing a tremendous issue and crisis within the prison systems because all of our correctional officers who are responding to the overdoses in the prisons, they are getting secondary contact with fentanyl, which is putting them in danger. This is a true public health crisis that we've got to address.
Okay, so yeah, it's shocking that they weren't just calling for a life sentence, right? We hear Republicans crying that Democrats won't even talk about bills that would stop fentanyl. And we know that, you know, the Republican red side likes to just throw them away and lock them up, right? Throw them in jail, throw the key away. But I think that as fentanyl takes over the country even more, and these Republicans, children, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles are touched by the reality of fentanyl, I think that we'll see more of them stepping up and saying, hey, we got to do something about this. What does that mean, though? I mean, we know that it's crossing the border. We know that, I mean, I saw a report about how many bricks of fentanyl they confiscated last year and how many so far this year. And it's like 10-folds this year compared to what they had last year. But what is the answer? Is it stricter laws that lock people up that get caught with a certain amount? You know, we've seen these sentencing guidelines for 30, 40 years now. You know, remember what they did to the Black community over crack cocaine? I mean, how many people got locked up for entire life for a single rock of cocaine? You know, we know incarceration is not the answer for addiction. As far as the big time fentanyl dealers, the cartels that are bringing it in, go watch Narcos if you think for 1 second that the DEA is doing goddamn anything to stop this. We know better. Quite the contrary. They're normally the ones that are facilitating it coming into the country because they get a huge fucking cut of it, right? And if you said that to somebody like a Republican, oh my God, that's not true. That is true. We know the DEA facilitates shit constantly for their own benefit. And I think that they could slow it down if they want to, but they don't want to slow it down because the elite and these guys, they're all one in one, you know, they're all hand in hand. So what it's going to come down to is our communities. It has to come at the community level. We have got to understand how easy it is to die from fentanyl. You know, I always tell people, think of a chocolate chip cookie. You don't know how many chocolate chips are in one cookie compared to the other cookie, and that's fentanyl. And we have to give treatments. We have to give options to people, you know. And that's why, as much as I hate the MAT program, which is the medically assisted treatment, that's why, you know, I still support that it's in our community, because I've seen it help people. I've seen it help my own family members, you know, and at least they're not on the streets with the needle in their arm anymore. At least they are taking a pharmaceutical that helps them get their life together. So, you know, as much as I hate that big pharma profits off of MAT, right now it seems to be helping some people, and I think that it has to be just one avenue of helping people. Of course, there's so many, you know, and I think we need to reevaluate rehab in this country, right? Rehab is a for-profit system, just like everything else, and big insurance, big pharma, big insurance are hand in hand in there, and we just have the one program that everything's been based on for, you know, almost 100 years now, which is the 12-step program. And sometimes the 12-step program doesn't work for some people. I mean, I've seen people go to rehab 12, 13, 15 times in their lifetime. And I just feel like, you know, it's more about taking yourself out of the environment that you're in and going to a new environment, a clean, cutting off those connections, you know, changing those friends, not going to the same places. And that's where rehab really helps a lot of people, because it pulls them out of that environment that they were in and it puts them in a new environment and gives them a chance to build a new pathway out. So, you know, it's something we got to talk about, and that's why I talk about it constantly. I don't know what the answers are. Of course, none of us know what the answers are, but we know the things that are helping, and locking people up is not going to help. So I'm glad to see the Republicans understand that this is a big problem. Of course, Pelosi wouldn't even debate the bill because, you know, Pelosi. So are we going to get anywhere? Everywhere? If Farron says, if Democrats want to feel bad for Hunter Biden's addictions, then fuck them. Care about your constituents' addiction problem more. They're poor. Hunter is rich. Hear, hear. I agree. That's a great one, Farron.
We showed you.
Okay. So, did you guys see this? I got this from Miss Amber King, Brave New Future. If you're not tuned in, go over and follow on Rockfin. This is the news school. So we are grateful to the organizers below, which have generously provided us financial support in institution and its research. Yeah, Nina, let's see. Who do we got? Bank of America. Ooh. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, of course. Chicago Community Trust. Deschutes Bank America Foundation. JP Morgan. And the list goes on and on. Are we shocked? Are you shocked? Are you shocked? I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all. Come on. We knew that Nina was taking big money. So there you are. Let's see what else I got in here. I did hear from Oz. I don't know if he's watching, but happy birthday, Oz. Let's see. New breed of video site. Oh, this is Reuters. So Reuters decided to attack BitChute and Odyssey. Did you guys see this? I barely saw this, but BitChute, Odyssey serve up conspiracies, racism, graphic violence to millions of viewers, taking advantage of big tech disinformation crackdown and the rise of Trump. These sizes reflect a new media universe, one where COVID-19 is fake, Russians fight Nazis in Ukraine, and mass shootings are false. I'm not even going to say that because it'll probably get me punked on YouTube. Operations. So yeah, they decided to go after him. But here's the thing, you know, indie media has been taking these type of smears for 5 years now, right? And sometimes they have an effect, but it seems like anymore, these type of, who's even looking at Reuters anymore? If it says Reuters, I laugh anymore. Like, I used to respect Reuters, and I absolutely haven't in the last 4 or 5 years. So I don't think that these smears on BitChute and Odyssey are even affecting them. You know, I have a BitChute. I don't go there too often, but Odyssey, many of us in indie media use Odyssey because it is one of the only platforms that allows us to back up our entire body of work, because we saw so many of our brothers and sisters in independent media lose their whole body of work. Like, you know, if you didn't have it backed up somewhere and YouTube decided they were going to take your channel, boom, there went all of your work for 2-3 years gone. So many of us back up what we're doing on Odyssey. So I don't see either BitChute or Odyssey going anywhere anytime soon. And, you know, capitalism's gonna win out at the end of the day, and you keep shitting on the people who come on your platform and give you content to build your damn platform, it's gonna come for you eventually. So keep it up, because who reads this crap anyways? Nina Turner rolls with steak yogurt and Anna Casper again. Ask, what is Casper for again? Yeah, Anna Kasparian. God, they're just so terrible, right? And I can't believe, I never really was a big fan of Anna Kasparian because I saw her for the elitist that she was. But Nina, I bought Nina's, you know, working woman, fire you up, we're going to get out there and change it from the bottom rhetoric for many years. And it really took seeing what she did with Our Revolution, because, you know, I was really big into Our Revolution when it launched. And, you know, it's okay if we take corporate money. It's okay if we take PAC money because it's not coming directly to us, blah, blah, blah. And that's the same mentality she's doing with the money she's taking now. So, yeah. And Bernie, I got to say, I officially unsubbed from Bernie Sanders live the other day. It popped up and said Bernie Sanders is live at a rally, and I just went, who fucking cares? And unfollowed it. You know, you can only hear so much that the 1% is taking everything, and he's not actually doing anything about it before you just throw your hands in the air and say, okay, I'm done with you guys, and I'm done with Bernie Sanders. Let's see. Wow, we went a little late today. Well, let's see. I think I'm coming to the end of my roll. Oh, I got one more thing. Let me switch over to my other deck. I got this one from Jilly. Here we go. Jilly. So Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla explains Pfizer's new tech to Davos crowd, an ingestible pill. A pill with a tiny chip that sends a wireless signal to the relevant authorities when the pharmaceutical has been digested. Yeah. Let's just see what this has to say.
Chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field. It is basically biological.
That is crazy, Julie. I mean, I've been hearing about this, right? We've been hearing about that, as many of our friends have talked about it. But yeah, here, just for compliance. Take this for compliance. And yet that comes back down to what we were just talking about with addiction, right? How many of these people will they put into the prison pipeline or into these rehabs and then keep them locked into the system because they're not complying the right way according to this nanotech that they're going to ingest? We live in a dystopia nightmare, friends. I got to tell you, it's getting scary out there. I think I got one more. Yeah, here we go. Double tap. Baron says if I stay in the middle of the screen, it'll go to the next one. I knew you would tell me. I knew you knew. Okay. Now I'll get even better now that I know where I got to click. Oh, so did you hear about this story? This is Walmart. Walmart was ordered to pay $4.5 million to a customer who had been kicked off the property and accused of shoplifting. I'm always bitching about them doing that, but I'll tell you the bad news when we get to the end of the story.
Walmart is ordered to pay a local man nearly $4.5 million after a lawsuit claimed a store employee discriminated against him. Our Jenny Young talked to that victim and his lawyer this afternoon about this huge settlement.
So Dan, Liz, this goes all the way back to 2020. In March of 2020, James Mangum, he was going to Walmart in Wood Village for about the third time that day. All he wanted was a light bulb for his refrigerator. Instead, he says he was met by an
dare him.
employee who continued staring at him. Then that employee allegedly told him to leave the store. So after Mangum refused to leave, cell phone video Mangum recorded shows that store employee Joe Williams threatened to call police and tell them that Mangum threatened to smash him in the face. Listen to this.
The police is now recording me. Yeah, I am recording because you're saying something that I didn't say. So you telling me right now. So you telling me right now he's gonna trespass me from this property for what reason? Because he wants to. Because he wants to.
All right, Williams, that employee, Joe Williams, did in fact call the Multnomah County Sheriffs, but deputies did not take action. Multnomah County Sheriff Sergeant Brian White said during a deposition that he and other deputies have had experience with Williams lying. Listen to this.
The vast majority of it came from deputies on my shift who had become extremely frustrated with a pattern of behavior that they had identified of Mr. Williams calling 911 to report dangerous active situations such as customers physically assaulting him or loss prevention employees or other Walmart employees while trying to steal. And then the deputies determining that that never actually happened.
All right, so this settled this week, not settled, excuse me, a jury ruled in favor of Mr. Mangum, $4.4 million. In a statement from Walmart, they said in part, quote, "We do not tolerate discrimination. We believe the verdict is excessive and is not supported by the evidence." Coming up at 6, we're talking to Mr. Mangum about how this impacted his life over the last 2 years. And listen to this, 70% of that money, Liz, Dan, will go to the Attorney General. That's according to state.
Okay, so did you hear that at the end? 70% of that money is going to go to the AG, the Attorney General of Oregon. Why? First of all, Walmart says this is obsessive. Okay, what's obsessive is your guys' discrimination. And this is what I scream about constantly about self-checkout is I find it discrimination at the door for them to pick and choose who they want to stop and check their receipts. How is that not discrimination? It is, because you're not stopping everybody at the door. You're just stopping some. And I think Walmart needs to be burned to the ground on this one again until they stop this shit. I mean, Walmart needs to go. We all know that. But, you know, it's always makes me smile when I see the big guys take a hit in their wallet because that's what truly hurts them. So sadly, though, all the money is going to go to the Attorney General and not the victim of the discrimination in this case. Are we shocked? No, we are not shocked at all. I think that's about... Your attention, please. The FDA has changed the name of aspartame to immunosweets. Yes, Amber and I talked about this, I want to say like a year ago. We knew that they were doing this because, you know, they had changed the laws and the rules about what they were allowed to have. So they just changed the name. And we see this from the FDA. I mean, if you didn't know how shady the FDA was before 2020, you definitely know now how shady they are. So I just wanted to remind people, don't be drinking that crap. That stuff is terrible for you. It gives you pancreatic cancer too, from what I've heard. Just my conspiracy, just my thought. Let's see, what else we got? Oh, Trailer Park Pundit. Let's see. Yes, let's write Julian Assange, please. A reminder, you can write Julian Assange, screenshot it. Just send him a postcard, just send him a little letter. Let's help out our comrade Misty Putin too. Her little burning kitty's been sick, and you know, Misty never asked for help. She never asked for anything, and just please go over to her Twitter and check out her feed. I know somebody put up a GoFundMe for her. We all love our fur babies. You saw one of mine a little while ago. And it's just heartbreaking when they're sick and then you end up, I mean, we know medical's terrible for us, but medical for your animals is, it's heart-wrenching. How many times have you had to decide on an animal dying because you couldn't afford to pay, you know, $5,000, $10,000 for the stuff they need? Yeah, terrible. And hands off Assange. You want to help me get to DC for the hands off Assange? I got to go from Seattle to DC, which is a heck of a trek for me. We're going to do that on October 8th. It'll be outside the Department of Justice. Please join us. Farron, I'm sad you're not in DC anymore, but I will make it back to Chicago, so I will see you. If you want to help me out, you can hit my PayPal or you can join our Patreon for Beauty and the Boomer. I haven't set up a Patreon for this show just because I just want to have it in one place. I think I'll just leave it at my PayPal. And those who want to join, Beauty and the Boomer's Patreon, we appreciate you. We love you. And now that I can go live on my own, I'm going to start hanging out and doing hangouts over there where we can, really talk. And it's not being broadcast live. So, hey, I appreciate all of you guys joining me today. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Yona, welcome, Yona. Glad you're here. Jilly's an amazing supporter of independent media. If you don't know, not only is she a kick-ass mod, but she is constantly sending us info and stories and story ideas. You guys can hit me up on Twitter if you've got something you think I should see or you want me to research. Let me know. And I appreciate you, Jilly, more than I can say. DC, yes, I'm going to put a compressor on here. Thank you so much. Your help with my tech has been amazing. Hey, Dov, what's up? Who else is hanging out today? Kate's up in Vancouver. I want to go to Vancouver. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hey, Stefan Sheehan, welcome. So tonight we have Beauty and the Boomer shorts, which I'm going to jump off here and immediately start writing. And yes, it's Oz's birthday, so definitely join us. Hey, welcome, Janice. Definitely, Al Walski. I see you, Al Walski from Vermont. So join us tonight for Beauty and the Boomer shorts. I kind of saved all the funny stuff for tonight, so if you want to giggle, definitely join us tonight. And thank you guys so much for joining me for my second week of shows on my own. I'm going to be doing this every Tuesday and every Thursday at around 10:05 a.m. I want to give the AM Wake Up crew a chance to, finish up their show, and then I'll launch my show. I don't want to launch my show right over there, so I'm going to give myself a 5-minute buffer. So, yeah, please join me every Tuesday and Thursday in the trailer park so we can talk about the things that nobody else wants to talk about. And I appreciate all of you. Thanks for joining me. There is my PayPal if you want to help me out. Welcome to the trailer park. And yes, that's what it looks like out front my door. No, I'm kidding. But it was funny. And remember, America is the home of the hypocrite. And I guess I will see you around the trailer park.
America is, America is, America is, America is, America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. American dreams are full of it. Look at the Indians, look at the blacks, look at the figures, look at the facts, look at the facts not the lies, and you'll find out, big surprise, that America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. American dreams are full of it. Check out the Indians, check out the blacks, and you check out the figures, and you check out the facts. Check out some facts. Check out the facts, not the lies, and you'll find out it's a big surprise. Right between the eyes that America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. American dreams, only a dream. No desperation limit. Desperation level. Even though my nose don't work, I smell trouble, I smell trouble. No desperation limit, new desperation level. Murder in the government. Say you're sorry, say you're sorry. No desperation limit, new desperation level. Turn the key, turn the lock. Nationalism, you can suck my. No desperation limit, new desperation level. Watch how the world's progressing everywhere. Aggression, 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 aggression.